WTQX. The evening wireless.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. This is WTQX transmitting on 360 meters, 833 kilocycles on your dial. You are tuned to the Evening Wireless for May 29th, 1926. I am Edwin Allen. Wherever you may be listening this Memorial Day weekend, relaxing at home, or preparing for weekend plans, we are glad for your company. Please have a listen, if you will, as we take a moment to consider the events of our times. And we thank you, friends, as always, for your kind attention. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I confess tonight to one small surrender to the advancing season. After some reluctance, I have at last retired my winter felt in favor of the straw boater hat, for it seems Memorial Day weekend has once again announced the artificial commencement of the American summer. And yet, before excursions to the lakes, for motor outings and ball games beneath the warm sun, the nation first pauses for remembrance. There remains some debate in certain quarters as to whether this observance ought properly be called Decoration Day or Memorial Day. For my own part, I suspect the gentlemen resting beneath the marble stones are rather less concerned with the nomenclature than we, the living. The veterans of the Grand Army of the Republic, their own ranks sadly thinning with each passing year, long ago established the custom of adorning the graves of the fallen with flowers of remembrance. It is a tradition which helped bind together a once divided republic, North and South alike, in its own reflection upon sacrifice. And now the younger veterans of the Great War have, in their own fashion, taken the stand to themselves as well. Many return from France carrying burdens not plainly visible to the eye. One need only observe the quieter moments of my own colleague, Colonel Davies, to understand that some memories are not easily surrendered to time. I recently read of certain Great War veterans refusing to march in memorial parades should the sons of dear old GAR soldiers be placed ahead of them in the procession. The offense, as I understand it, stemmed from the belief that civilian descendants somehow diminished the solemn meaning of the observance in the eyes of the veterans. Now, I cannot pretend to fully understand what those young men endured amidst the mud and thunder of France. Perhaps after such experiences, even so small a matter of marching order may carry deep emotional weight. If that is so, I defer respectfully to their sad experience. And yet, it seems to this commentator that Memorial Day ought not become a matter of precedence, title, or position, but rather one of shared remembrance. Tomorrow, throughout the United States, flowers shall again be laid upon graves, bugles shall sound, flags shall stir in the late spring air, and Americans shall honor those whose sacrifices afforded this prosperous nation its peace and confidence. And afterward, as is our American custom, the people shall greet the coming summer season with optimism, family gatherings, sport, and fellowship. I think perhaps the following would not begrudge us that happiness. I myself intend to take my newly purchased straw boater hat to the shores of the Great Lakes, with a cigar in hand, if fortune is kind, some agreeable tune recently borrowed from the wireless lingering in my thoughts. I suspect our own Miss Cross shall sooner make for the picture palaces, where the modern photoplay continues to dazzle audiences in equal measure with the spectacle and romance. Perhaps the Colonel will join his fellows in processions of solemn remembrance. And maybe that is the true purpose of memorial. Not merely mourning the dead, but living well in the peace and sacrifices preserved for us. For while Europe once again finds itself troubled by unrest, strikes, and uneasy currencies, the American people this Memorial Day may still gather with family beneath warm skies in comfort, confidence, and gratitude. I appreciate your attention. Thank you for listening. Now, once again, we head to the wires to hear the latest headlines reported to you by our own Mr. Sparks. Jimmy?
Here's what's fresh off the wire. Washington, D.C., Andrews goes to Canada to plug rum leaks. Assistant Secretary of the Treasury Andrews to investigate rum production and make gentlemen's agreements to stem the tide of illicit liquor entering the U.S. I think it's an excuse to taste test quality. New York, Russians come here to agitate, find jobs better. Hidden Soviet Bolsheviks attempting to agitate unions to strike and compromise democratic proceedings. Find the U.S. to be a much better lifestyle than their Russian homes. Funny what a full stomach and a fair paycheck can do for a fellow's politics. Chicago. Cabaret dancing girls might have to hunt new job. Chicago ordinances may soon prohibit women to be employed as professional dance partners due to legality and propriety laws. I ask you folks, can't the government leave our gals alone? Brussels, Belgium. Poppies bloom in Flanders as Yanks honor soldier dead. A contingent of U.S. military men holds ceremony in the fields of Flanders to honor the men that died during the Great War. May they never be forgotten. Brooklyn. 9 arrested in raid on burlesque show. 11 warrants were served on the counts of indecent incidents the night before of the performance Sweethearts of the USA. Women from the cast went among the audience kissing men. I don't know about you folks, but I'm appalled at the police. Akita, Japan. Broken Dam floods town in Japan. After the Takasaki volcano erupted 4 days before killing hundreds, a reservoir burst washing away hundreds of homes and people. Mother Nature continues to remind mankind who truly runs the planet. That's the flash news for now. Back to you, Edwin.
Thank you, Jimmy. It seems the news never stops coming. Now, to inform us about the sporting news of the day, here is Colonel Frederick Davies with The Measure of Men.
Good evening. The field of sport never tires. At long last, the Kentucky Derby excitement is concluded for another year, with Bubbling Over taking the roses before a roaring crowd at Churchill Downs. Young jockey Albert Johnson guided the colt to victory in rather convincing fashion, and I suspect more than a few dollars quietly changed hands in parlors, barber shops, and railway stations across the nation before the afternoon had concluded. Now, I confess horse racing has never entirely seized my own imagination in the manner it does some gentlemen of Louisville society, though I can certainly appreciate a fine animal when I see one. Still, for my own part, I find my eyes increasingly drawn towards machines rather than mares. And so, my attention turns toward Indianapolis, where tomorrow the time trials commence for the great 500-mile motor contest. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never witnessed these extraordinary automobiles, permit me to paint the scene. Great cigar-shaped projectiles of steel and oil, scarcely more than engines wrapped in sheet metal, roaring around the brick track at astonishing speeds, while the drivers cling to the wheel through smoke, dust, heat, and flying grit. The famed Miller machines once again appeared dominant in this year's field. Those slick mechanical beasts seemingly built less by ordinary engineers than by men possessed of dangerous ambition. There are whispers some of these drivers may approach speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour during the trials, which strikes this commentator as equal parts progress and insanity. One cannot help but admire the courage of these fellows. A ball player may sprain an ankle, a boxer may lose a tooth, but these drivers wager their very lives each time they enter the straightaway, 500 times. And finally, a word from across the Atlantic, where Jess Sweetser had become the first American ever to capture the amateur championship of golf. By all reports, the British crowds received the young American sportsman with admirable grace and courtesy, despite the recent unrest and general strike, which has so troubled the United Kingdom these past weeks. Golf, it would seem, is no longer solely the province of the British gentleman. The American athlete continues to make his mark upon the world stage, armed with steady nerves, discipline, and a distinctly Yankee determination. I've been Colonel Frederick Davies with The Measure of Men.
Thank you very much, Colonel. The Derby was what everyone seemed to be talking about earlier this month. Now, tonight's first generous sponsor is Choco Yeast, the chocolate-covered yeast product that cannot grow stale.
And now, friends, a word from the Home Yeast Company. Oh, dear, dealers say every day raw yeast tastes just like ashtray. Oh, dear, dear. But chocolate's great, the kids won't hate. Just you wait, it's first rate. Have you heard the latest news, friend, from the doctors and the labs? Yeast is really good for you, but it tastes like charcoal crabs. Don't fret, Ma, don't cry, Pa, the kiddies will rejoice, 'cause Home Yeast Company has found the perfect choice. Choco yeast, it's full of health and vim. Choco yeast. The taste won't make you grim. Choco yeast. The 10-cent pack's on sale. Choco yeast. It won't ever go stale. Hey, little Johnny, get off the floor. You can buy it at the candy store. Hey now, mother, don't be blue. It's also found at the druggist too. Don't weep, Ma, don't sob, Pa, Johnny will be impressed. It's as strong and fresh as yeast compressed. Choco yeast. It's full of health and vim. Choco yeast. The taste won't make you grim. Choco yeast. The 10-cent pack's on sale. Choco yeast. It won't ever go stale. Cannot grow stale. No, never. Cannot grow stale. Not ever. Drugstores, groceries, candy stores too. Choco yeast is waiting for you.
Choco yeast. There is only one. It's chocolate-coated. Avoid imitations.
Next for tonight's program is Miss Vivian Cross, ready to dazzle us with the Hollywood Eye.
Good evening, my dears. Your Miss Cross has at last attended her very first Cecil B. DeMille epic production, namely the Volga Boatman. I had long understood Mr. DeMille to be regarded as one of the true masters of the motion picture industry. Why, one can scarcely pass a theater marquee in Los Angeles without seeing his name displayed in letters half the size of the building itself. Yet, I confess, as one of the younger generation, I had always assumed these enormous historical spectacles rather serious affairs, intended for fathers, professors, and gentlemen who enjoy discussing empires after supper. And so, when I heard the Volga Boatman concerned revolution in Russia, snow, suffering, and political turmoil, I prepared myself for 2 hours of educational misery. Well, dear listeners, never in my life have I been so delighted to discover myself entirely mistaken. The picture is grand, romantic, dramatic, and wonderfully alive. Crowds, danger, palaces, revolutionaries, daring escapes, and at the center of it all, the very handsome William Boyd. And looking heroic enough to make half the ladies in attendance forget entirely about politics, me included. And the lovely Eleanor Fair more than lives up to her name, because fair she is, and jealous I am. In fact, Hollywood rumor now whispers that Mr. Boyd became so taken with Miss Fair during the production that he proposed marriage while filming one of his more athletic, shirtless scenes, and that the lady accepted, making her future Mrs. Boyd number 3. Now, whether this tale is entirely true or merely another invention born beneath the California sunshine, your Hollywood eye cannot yet say. But if romance blooms in revolutions and photoplays, I suppose Mr. DeMille is a master after all. I will certainly have to go to his next epic film without a second thought. Until then, my dears, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I've been Vivian Cross with the Hollywood Eye.
Thank you, Miss Cross. It's good to know that history can still be entertaining for the more youthful among us. We now turn to Mrs. Kilbert with Women's Concerns.
Good evening, ladies. I've received a letter from a second wife worried about the death of her husband. Dear Miss Kidder, I married a widower who is good and kind to me and who professes to love me, but he is always reminding me that when he dies, he wishes to be buried by the side of his first wife. Do you think I am just a second fiddle? Signed, of course, Second Fiddle. Well, Second Fiddle, you should not worry about where your husband is buried. If you die before he does, it will not matter to you where he is buried. And if he dies before you do, you can bury him where you please. Anyway, Why does it matter? The thing that concerns you is not where your husband's dead body will lie, but how he treats you while he's still in the flesh. If he is good and kind and tender and affectionate to you, enjoy that and forget his funeral arrangements. Don't let something that may never happen in your lifetime spoil your happiness. Of course, your husband is stupid beyond belief not to keep his plans for the disposal of his remains a secret between himself and his executor. Any man who knows so little of a woman's heart that he does not realize that a second life is always tortured by jealousy of the first wife is so dumb that he should not be allowed out without a keeper. But many men are like that, and it is just lack of intuition, just lack of realization of how cruel they are that makes them continually harp to their second wives upon the charms and perfections of their first wives. Charms and virtues which grow brighter as they fade. For many a man canonizes a wife after she is dead, with whom he quarreled with while she was alive. So, wipe your eyes and call your sense of humor to your aid, and recollect that if you should die and your husband should marry again, he would doubtless demand of number 3 that he be buried between you and number 1. Yours truly, D.Q.X.
A kind thank you, Mrs. Kader. I'm sure many women have learned a great deal with your advice. Tonight's second generous sponsors are the Anita Nose Adjuster. It shapes all kinds of noses.
Ladies, gather close, now lend your ears a minute, dears. We all know ugly noses sets us all in tears. But I've got some great news that will make us all feel joy. The Anita Nose Adjuster is the real McCoy. While you're softly sleeping, nature does her work at night. The Anita Nose Adjuster makes your profile right. Nature's way to happiness fits all types of noses. Wake up every morning like a garden full of roses. Guaranteed no screws, no metal, comfortable and true. The Anita Nose Adjuster will make your nose brand new. Write to us in Newark, in Jersey you can trust. Pretty shapely noses, so easy to adjust. We'll send you a free booklet, parlor demos if you want. The perfect nose is waiting, your beauty you can flaunt. Nature's way to happiness fits all types of noses. Wake up every morning like a garden full of roses. Guaranteed no screws, no metal, comfortable and true. The Anita Nose Adjuster will make your nose brand new. Nature's way to
And so, as this Memorial Day weekend arrives upon the nation once again, we find America balancing remembrance with renewal. Across the country, flowers shall be placed upon graves, both old and new, while the last veterans of the Civil War stand beside the younger men who marched through the mud of France scarcely a decade ago. Though generations may differ in manner, title, or memory, the sacrifice they honor remains the same. And yet, beyond the ceremonies and bugle calls, the American summer also begins to stir a life once more. The straw hats emerge from their boxes. Family prepares for journeys to the lakes and countryside. The motor cars crowd the roads. And in Indianapolis, men of astonishing courage prepare to hurl roaring machines around the speedway at unimaginable velocity. In the picture palaces, audiences continue to lose themselves in grand romances and distant revolutions upon the silver screen. Even at home, our grand romances may just be ways to manage memories of lost partners. Perhaps that is the peculiar character of modern life. While hardworking and often restless, we can be reflective and eager for distraction, still carrying the memories of war and loss, while pressing ever forward into a faster and more dazzling age. We trust you shall join us again when next we come to you over the wireless. And we thank you, friends, as always, for your kind attention.
Ba-da-ba-da.